predict when one allophone occurs and when the other one will or will not occur, that is complementary distribution. If there is no reason why you pronounce one or the other, then it is free variation. That's in simple terms. But let's say these two might probably be free variation as well in case of, let's say I have a cold and then the I comes out nasalized. Then it is definitely free variation, but not because I learned it that way, but just because my body cannot pronounce it non-nasalized. But definitely there is a context here. There is an environment. So if there is an environment, as soon as you have an environment that tells you this will always be nasalized, then it is complementary distribution. Okay?
Got it.
Let's move on to the second example, right? The second question. Are the two pronunciations of which, okay? There are two pronunciations of which, right? I think you all know. We already talked about that last class. Somebody asked me about that pronunciation of who when referring to the WH words. So we have two pronunciations of this word. Okay, one is the homophone of which the bruja, right, is the same. Which, and the other has this glottal fricative at the beginning, making it who, okay? But the rest of the word is exactly the same. So the first question, or the first part of the question was, are they minimal pairs? Why or why not?
I would say yes, Professor.
There is not minimal pair, Professor, because in the second one you could see the sound is different, and minimal pairs occur when you have a constructive sound.
Okay, let's see. Edwin, you said they are minimal pairs, right?
Yes, because they become from the same phoneme. If we analyze the sound wa, then they become from the same phoneme. So that's the reason I would say that yes.
Okay, let's go back to the definition of minimal pairs, right? This is good. When there is some discussion, it's good, right?
It's tricky, Professor.
So for minimal pairs, the first thing we need to have is two words with exactly the same number of sounds, right? When I say two words, I mean two different words. Remember that, okay? In order for them to be minimal pairs, immediately, the first thing you need to think about is you have two different words. Are these two different words? No. Okay. That's the first case, right?
No.
That's the first case. That's good. So this is the same word. So immediately you know they are not minimal pairs. The other reason why they are not minimal pairs is because the number of segments are different. They must have exactly the same number of sounds with only one difference occurring in the same position. So here in the first word we have wu, right? We have three different sounds. We have this and this, right? And then here we have an extra segment, which is the hu. Even though some people take this variation as only one sound, okay? If you take it as only one sound, then they fulfill that requirement, which is having the same number of sounds. However, they don't make a new word, so the word is exactly the same. So since we don't have a difference in this word, it's just like behind and behind, right? Behind and behind. Those two are not minimal pairs, even though they have the same number of sounds one sound different between them, right? Occurring in the same position, but they are not minimal pairs because we are talking about the same single word. Okay? Same happens here. They cannot be minimal pairs because it's only one word. And if you conclude that they are not, okay, which is the case, they are not minimal pairs, are they in complementary distribution or in free variation?
That is free variation, I think.
I think the same.
Okay. Anybody thinks we're talking about a complementary distribution case? Yes?
Professor, just for future
It
reference.
is.
So whenever someone says like minimal pair, we have to ask whether it is regarding to the word or in a specific sound, right?
Okay. Now we left behind the minimal pair distinction between sounds. Now we are more into the words. But sounds can also be minimal pairs, right? That's why, for example, some sounds come in pairs, like T and D, right? They are minimal pairs, like and they are minimal pairs also. The reason is because they are the same, but just one difference between them, right? Now we are more into the difference between, let's say, two words that have almost the same pronunciation, but differing in only one sound. In this case, they are not two words. This is just one word with two pronunciations. Remember, minimal pairs, two words that differ in one sound.
Now, Professor,
Here-
I ask you a question. Sorry.
Yes.
Now I ask you a question because I got like enthusiastic in this. What happened if we have next to which the first word which is different, which bruja in this case, and you compare them, then we have a minimal pair there or not?
No,
No.
not in that case, because they are different words, but they have no segmental differences.
Professor
So
Rodolfo.
that in that case, yes, in that case, we will use the term homophones. That's why homophones exists. Yes.
Got it.
Professor
No,
Rodolfo,
Peter.
what about the witch of Deseo? Which is different,
Yes.
right?
It's pretty much the same question, right? Which, like the bad,
Deseo.
yeah, the like,
I wish you a Merry Christmas.
oh, the wish. Oh, I see. Wish. You mean wish?
Yeah.
Wish.
Exactly.
In this case, then we are talking about a minimal pair.
Exactly.
Yes, because they are differing just in one segment, which is.
Profe, so how can I determine if there is a complementary distribution or free variation in those examples in the which can?
Okay, that's a good question. The first thing you need to ask yourself is there an environment that determines when to pronounce who, when to pronounce wu, or is simply free for the speaker? Like in my case, for example,
Free.
like it's free, right? So there is
Free.
no phonological environment like, oh, you know what, this H is because of the following sounds. No,
It's
this
free
H
variation.
is free variation. This H comes in, into this word just because the person wants to pronounce it. I have been speaking English for a couple of years already, and I have never pronounced who, and I have survived without that there. So there's yes.
Professor,
Just explain
there
us.
is-
Yeah, go on.
Go ahead.
You go.
Yeah, go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Jose Manuel.
You explained that's the last class, the differences between the dialect problems that some part of the country has, pronouncing the WH and the W has which and which.
Yes.
You explain it. Like it's a free variation sample.
Exactly. Yes. It's a free variation example. Like in the south of the US, most people pronounce who, right? Instead of like what, when, where. In other places in the US, they simply pronounce the W.
Uh, Professor, one question regarding the symbol, actually the HW. So according to the IPA, shouldn't we represent it like by an inverted or upside down W,
Yes,
the HW?
yes.
All right.
Here we're not using some of the symbols that are, let's say, less common. Okay, just to avoid some confusions. There are some symbols that are not so common, and some symbols that in the BA we did not study. So I'm trying not to include them. Okay, just like in vowels as well. You know, there are some symbols that you might probably not be familiar with, and I'm in fact not trying to include them. But yes, in this case, there is a symbol, a specific symbol for that who sound in English. Okay, in the IPA, you're right. Okay, well, we covered the questions, so we're ready for the presentation. Let me